Hello and welcome back to Helldivers 2. I know I'm a little late on this month's Warbond review, but I was kind of hoping we'd get some news of the devs reverting some of the changes they did, because they have a direct effect on this Warbond. But they didn't. So, let's just jump into it. For the month of August, we have the Freedom's Flame Warbond, a entirely incendiary weapon themed set. And we'll start with the booster, which the booster is the Firebomb Hellpods booster. I don't have it equipped right now. It has use. What it does is when a Hellpod comes down, a player spawns a turret or even a like my commando. If I call it in, we would wait, and the Hellpod would come down, and then it would create an explosion in the area around it. Is it good? Yes and no. It really sucks if you're trying to call in supplies, because you have to kind of back off or you're potentially going to get bombed. On the other hand, it could be useful if you were running something kind of weird like a lot of, I'd say, minefields. As long as you don't stack the minefields to the point where they can hit each other and trigger the same mines you just called in or you recently called in, I think you could do something cool with it. Outside of that, I don't really know just how valid they are in terms of use. Like, it has uses, like I said. It could be good if you get called in and your buddy just like whips you into a cluster of terminids, for example. You might be able to burn them or kill off a few. I wish someone would kill the impaler chasing me, because this isn't fun. I don't like just not being able to play the game and just ragdolling. But I guess I have to do it. Is he still alive? Of course he is.
Calling in orbital strike.
But so, the booster is not the worst. I definitely think the Viper Commando Stimulant booster is a lot better. I've actually kind of shifted my stance since the video I did on it and found it to be a really good utility item. The increased damage resist and everything makes it really great, so have to kind of issue a recanting of my previous view. But continuing on from there, we have the armor, the I09 or I09 Heat Seeker, which is light armor with the inflammable perk. So it's 75% fire resist. It's okay. I think it has more utility than, say, the arc resist armor, simply because there's a lot of fire weapons in this game. So being able to resist 75% of fire damage is a lot more probable than resisting, what was it, 95% of the Tesla damage. Kind of requires you to actually be running into a lot of Tesla weapons, and they're just not popular. People typically don't run the Tesla Tower or the, some people use the arc thrower, but it's not as popular as it used to be. And then the shotgun one is, okay, I've used it, but I don't see other people use it. Understandably so, it's not the greatest gun ever made.
Reloading.
But so this new armor, it at least has more of a purpose to it. Then we have the I-102 Draconaut, which is just medium armor, fire resist perk, nothing really noteworthy. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh, this is so much better than the first one. Nah, it's the same thing. There is a heavy armor version, if for some reason you really like heavy armor, but that requires you to actually buy it in the shop. Then we have the SG-451 Cookout, which is, it's the Punisher, but with reduced damage, lower recoil, and incendiary rounds, which is what I'm currently using. As you saw against that Stalker, it was just not performing. It's an okay gun. I really feel like the devs put way too much value on incendiary damage, because I don't think it makes up for anything. I'm not really looking at this like, oh man, this is so much better than, you know, any other shotgun, like the normal SG, 9 or SG-8 pummeler. It just isn't. It's at best a side grade, at worst a slight downgrade. What I will say though is it has far better spread. I guess clustering, if we want to be specific, because it doesn't spread too much, than the Breaker Incendiary, and deals like 80 more damage. Yeah, you can't fire in your little bursts, but I don't know, I find it not that important. This also has good stagger on it. It is light armor pen, so you are at some degree of a disadvantage. But it is nice because when you have like flying enemies, the clustering does allow for this to kind of work as a decent anti-air option, which we really don't have. Which was a little better against these guys, considering I'm point blanking them. But, you know, that's current Arrowhead. You need to have only a certain number of weapons viable, and everything has to be kind of trash if it's not a call-in.
Requesting sentry. Reloading.
But our next gun is the Flam 66 Torture. I have it, but I don't have it on this character right now. It's a flamethrower. That's all it is it's the non-call-in flamethrower. The damage is... it's okay. It's 250 damage per second, medium armor pen, which... I don't know, I don't really feel like it's all that good, but I think that's more because of how fire is treated in this game, as opposed to the weapon itself. It's a flamethrower, it has short range, it's what you expect. I wish it was better because I think it would be really fun to have, but it just doesn't perform super well. Then there's the P72 Crisper, which is actually the pistol I have. It's a flamethrower pistol. It does 250 damage per second, so you're doing the same damage output as the larger primary weapon flamethrower, but it has a smaller magazine size from what I can tell, and it's still short range. You have a lot better options in the secondary category. It says medium armor pen, but I will believe it when I see it. You're better off using the Senator. Just hit him with the revolver. You're gonna have better range. Probably takes less shots to kill anyways. Then there's The grenade pistol is an option, which a lot of people like to use. Completely understandable. It gives you a ton of utility. I can't really say much against that. In the end, there are good options, there are bad options. I'm going to run this actually and drop it off, because I don't trust just carrying it with me. But that's all the weapons. We didn't get a new grenade, didn't get anything like that. It's just 2 primaries and a secondary. And then we got the new Hellpods. And I guess new colors for the Hellpod, dropship, and the mechs again. It's the safety orange. I will let you take a guess as to what color they are. If you guessed orange, you are correct.
Tagging map. Southwest. Far.
I don't have much to say on that either. They're orange. Ooh, I would have preferred, granted this is just me, and it's very specific, but if you played Battlefield 4, they had the firefighter camo you could get from one of the DLCs. And what it was a series of like orange, red, and I want to say like a dark brown or like a burnt orange. Cool color combo. Might have been a yellow. It's been a while. But it was a good combination. And it worked.
I'm out.
The flat orange, I don't know, it never sits well with me. Because keep in mind, if you're not earning the super credits in-game, you are spending money. You're spending $10 for these Warbonds. And I can't, with a clear conscience, look at it and go, oh yeah, I am totally cool with paying $10 and the skins I get are just orange. Flat colors feel like they should just be something that's included. Because it's minimal effort. If we're going to be honest with ourselves, it's not even a matter of having to take like a camo texture and properly apply it. It's just flat color. Yeah, you have to properly like UV map it and everything, but grand scheme, it's not the most intensive design process compared to other more creative skin colors or skin variations. All in all, though, for this Warbond, I won't say it's the worst, because the stuff itself isn't bad, it's just the circumstances surrounding it. Arrowhead nerfed incendiary effects. They nerfed the flamethrower because it used to be able to burn through the armor on a charger, which they argue realism and then forget that if you hit something with fire, you cook the inside. Like that's how grilling works. That's how everything works. That's why firefighter suits, you still can't just stand there on fire forever, because you slowly get cooked alive. You can resist fire, but you aren't immune. And so they nerfed that just before the Warbond came out. No one was happy, no one's still happy. Understandable. And they made weird decisions. Like saying that the fire effect needed to be looked at, and they needed to nerf the breaker incendiary because 30% of bug missions were utilizing that shotgun. And I don't know about you, I applied 10 seconds of critical thinking, and it isn't the gun that's overpowered, it's the fact that bugs are weak to fire. it's just the right tool for the job. If it was overpowered, you'd see it get used against bots as well. And no one in their right mind uses fire against bots because it performs so poorly. It came off as the devs not understanding their own game, which it always comes off very dickish to be like, oh, you don't know your own game. But I genuinely think there are instances where staff does not understand what they're working on. They don't understand the elemental system that they have. They don't fully grasp how it all functions. And then they get caught up trying to do what they think is fixing and not understanding the context of how these weapons or how these elements interact with the game world itself. If you take any game that has an elemental system, what you'll notice is that these games will have, like, an element is good against a certain faction. You'll have, let's use Warframe. Fire is good against Infested. Electricity is good against the Corpus because of their shields. You have, like, Acid can be good against most of the Grineer for their armor. Radiation also works against them. But those same effects don't perform the same against the other factions. Fire isn't that good against Corpus. That's how, realistically, this game should be looking at and applying elements. Fire good against bugs, bad against bots. Okay, what's good against bots? Well, you'd probably say, like, Acid, because it would corrode the armor. You could have poison gas be good. You could even, if you want to chop it up even further, you have stuff that's good against organics and against synthetics. Electricity, good against synthetics. You have poison gas, good against organics. You can mix and match these systems and balancing acts however you want. Huh, didn't even notice I was, like, about to die. Nothing like hunters remaining imbalanced. But this has always been... This is a thing, this is a industry standard to have elements work differently for different factions and understand that performance difference. It isn't an element is broken, it's only broken if it performs exceedingly well against everyone. And at that point, yeah, that's understandable. That should be changed. But when it's just, oh, this one element works against this one faction, yeah, it should. That's how it should be. I don't know. It's strange because then Arrowhead acts... It's the surprise Pikachu face. When they're like, oh, I can't believe we're nerfing things again. We shouldn't be. Well, yeah. Then why are you doing it? I'm paraphrasing another YouTuber, Fleekazoid, but he said, who cares if a shotgun is overpowered? Are the bugs complaining on the forums? And it's true. Who cares? If I see a ton of people using the incendiary shotguns, you know what that might incentivize me to do? Use the fire resist armor. If all the incendiary weapons suck and no one uses them, then why would I use the fire resist armor? On the off chance that a bug will spontaneously combust on me? Personally, I'm waiting for Arrowhead to introduce, like, a new subtype of bug. And they'll be like, oh, it's kind of like the acid strain versions of some of these guys. Them to be like, oh, it's the fire strain, and they're all just 95% fire resistance. Just wait, I'm calling it here and now. They will do it. Just because that is exactly what I expect. It's unfortunate, it really is. But with their eagerness to nerf without really assessing, I can see it. And they've even said they can't just roll back the changes, which, if you know programming and you know anything about game design, that should be a big red flag for you. Because you should be having all of this stuff compartmentalized to the point where you can roll back a change. You can change fire back and it's not going to break the game, or you can change flamethrowers. But they make it sound like this game is actually held together by the worst spaghetti code. And that's why, because they know if they tried to roll it back, it would literally cause the game to just shatter. It would unravel like a ball of yarn. And that is incredibly distressing. But it also makes sense, because if you've played this since launch, you notice how we've had more crashes now? I can't go 4 hours without at least one crash, like hard crash to the dashboard on my PlayStation. I can't go without maybe 2 to 3 crashes back to my ship. I don't remember that being as bad 4 months ago. And the devs have come out and said that they're going to reevaluate, like, ragdolling. Who would have guessed this isn't fun? And there are people who, I will admit, they're huffing copium. They're like, oh, well, it's a story to that this soldier died doing this. Like, nah, dude, I'm not having fun. Full stop. If I'm not having fun playing a game, I'm just not gonna play the game. If ragdolling bugs me that much, I just quit. I don't care. Major order be damned. We already had the matter of the automatons reach Super Earth. You may not have noticed it, but they did. What happened is, and this is the problem of having kind of a dungeon master lead your story, Joel tweaked the capture rates so that when we had 10,000 people fighting the automatons, we had a capture rate of like 2.6% per hour. But when we had over 20,000, we had 2.2. They rigged it so that they didn't have to have anything happen to Super Earth. And that's the problem, is it's not really a story that we have influence on. We're just along for the ride. This is D&D if your DM sucks. The kind of DM who is like, no, you can't play this kind of character. You have to play this kind. You can't do this, you have to play this. The very controlling, zero fun allowed kind of play style that doesn't really make for a fun experience for anyone, because who wants to just sit around and effectively have the story told to them and be told, yeah, you don't really have a say, you just are here. The only thing we really have a say on is stuff like probably, I don't know, Collins, like some of the weapons we get. Like, they finally forced us to have the anti-tank mines. For the love of God, please stop dying. But they made it so we had to kill, like, what was it? I think 1.5 billion bots, and we couldn't do it in the time frame. It just, the player base is too small now. People hate fighting automatons because they added a tank that fires rockets, so even more ragdolling from the faction that already ragdolls you to the end of the earth and back. But so they did that, and the result was, if we lost, we were given the anti-tank mines. Which, fun fact, I'm not even doing a video on them exclusively because there's not much to say. But the anti-tank mines are the anti-personnel mines, except instead of triggering when you step on them, they trigger when you step off them. That's it. And they don't really work all too well against a lot of enemies. They take multiple mines to blow up automaton tanks, so you're better off just hitting them with a normal launcher, since then you can actually control where they're going and probably have a better cooldown, and you won't likely kill your friends accidentally.
Calling down a support weapon.
Yeah, the recent news with this game has been rough. I won't sit here and say the game's dying like everybody else is. The player base has shrunk. It is definitely not in a good place.
Calling in reinforcements.
But it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's not good.
I'm out. Requesting sentry. Sending down sentry.
Change needs to happen. And
calling in orbital strike.
A lot of the changes they've been making have just been either nonsensical or just actively detrimental to the game. There's talk of, well, there's the, what was it? The Illuminate coming at some point down the future. TM, trust me bro, it's gonna happen. At the rate the game is going, I don't think the Illuminate will save it. I think it will be too little too late. And the big nail in the coffin was the PSN issue, which never got resolved. People review bombed the hell out of it on Steam, and then Sony said, hey, we're not going to do it. And then they never undid the region lock. So nothing changed. And that really just put the nail in the coffin, because we lost so many players. When you look at player counts back then, we're sitting at like 200,000 at some points during the day. And then you look at now and it's like, oh, we're sitting, like, I'm recording this on a Sunday at 4 in the afternoon. And we have maybe 26,000 people. Now, that's not a terrible number. There are many games that do not have those kind of numbers. But when you look at where we were to where we are, it's a steep hit.
Requesting orbital strike. Calling down a sentry.
Like people have said too, that's why we've had this like Helldiver revolt as of late, is our guns get worse, our enemies get stronger. What's the point in trying? Which is a big thing. Like, this game at its core is a horde shooter. You need to have weapons capable of handling the horde. And now the devs are finally going, oh, we're gonna look at that and try to fix it. Do I think they will? No. Not at all. I have yet to see them actually fix something, and that's the problem. Everything they've done has been making weapons perform worse, making like stratagems worse, nerfing players, and we don't get anything on our end. Like, every weapon just gets less and less ammo, less and less magazines, and it gets tougher. Like the Impalers are not fun. Or the fact, like, the Commando, it's effectively two expendable anti-tanks, both in cooldown and effect, but it can take 4 shots to the head to kill a charger. It's rough. Hopefully next month we'll have things better, but who knows. But that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot. If you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.